So we'll do a quick update on Tindra and Eddie here. So this is Tindra. They are down in group living now. They have a 9-section condo. This whole bank is theirs that they're sharing. And you can see the doors are open. Today is day one of them being able to come out and interact, and not unusual that they're just hanging out in their condo. The other cats have come in and visited a little bit, particularly Muggs, who's looking for food, and they haven't really seemed to mind, so that's a good sign. So Tindra's working through a little bit of pneumonia. She sounds much better, I think. And then we're working out to see whether some signs of megaesophagus that were apparent on an x-ray that was done is something that's a permanent situation or not. And not much you do for that other than be careful with how you feed. So I'm actually feeding her on quite a raised platform, so she doesn't bend her head down to eat. That's one of the tricks. And then a couple of other things. I've got a good long write-up that explains it all, but really it's nothing too significant or that we're super worried about. And again, the caveat to this condition that we've discovered with our vet visit is that she's about 10 years old and has lived and done fine so far. So that leads me to think, it's just not such a big deal. She's a big gal. She needs to lose a little bit of weight. We're working on that. She had her front canines extracted, so her teeth, you can see her lips kind of get stuck there a little bit, so she has kind of a funny expression on her face sometimes, but a very, very friendly, lovely, lovely cat. Now she goes with Eddie over here, and we do want them to go together. They snuggle quite a bit together in the same bed and all, and Eddie is a little bit more sensitive than she is, a little bit more worried about what's going on in his world. He too had some extractions. He sits sometimes with his tongue sticking out, which gives him a very, very funny expression. Very sweet guy who looks at you imploringly and hopeful, likes belly rubs, likes to roll over and be pet, does a lot of elevator butt. So he's doing very, very well, but he's just a bit overwhelmed and a bit worried. And, he's kind of hanging out, waiting while we figure out what's going on with Tindra. And then these guys will be ready to go. And like I said, I've had a couple of queries, but I do want them to go together. I do see them being tightly bonded, and they have grown up together. Now, Tindra's plan is one more week, and we'll do another x-ray, look at the esophagus and the lungs and see. She had a touch of pneumonia, and that she's been on antibiotics for that. Sounds much better. So we'll take another x-ray and see what's going on with that, and then depending on those results, she may be ready to go, and if not, we may do another 2 weeks of meds and then do another x-ray. Basically, we're looking to see if she needs a medication called cisapride, which she's on, as well as the antibiotics, which helps the motility of the esophagus to move the food down the esophagus. Megaesophagus meaning that the esophagus is slightly larger and kind of swollen out of shape, more so than it should be. Now, clearly, if you look at her size, she's not having any trouble getting food down. But the pneumonia came from a slight aspiration of some either food or gravy or something down into the lungs. So that's what we're trying to avoid happening in the future. And that's one of the reasons you raise the food up, so that she kind of stretches her head up to eat. And here in the cage, it's a little easy. I've got her bowl holder here up high so that she just eats, kind of like, I could put her bowl up here and she would sort of reach into the bowl to eat. So at home, it just is going to be a matter of, putting her food up on something, I think. Again, if this is a a permanent condition. We're still kind of checking to see if it's permanent or temporary. And Eddie just sort of goes along with the flow. But a lovely, lovely pair. Very, very sweet, very social, very sensitive, very loving. She's more outgoing, clearly, and very kissy-faced. And he's more worried about the world in general, but also very, very kissy-faced. He just is, they're kind of trying to figure out what happened to their owner and their family. And that's very common for cats that come from loving owners and, you know, have never been anywhere else, and at this age it's pretty overwhelming. So I'd say another 2 weeks or so and they'll be ready to go. Really a nice pair for somebody. The older cats in our program are really quite a steal because you have a very low adoption fee. You get cats that have had dental work, blood work, thyroid checks, urine checks, all sorts of stuff. So tons of medical work come with them. You get copies of everything, including x-rays and lab results and all that. So it's really quite a deal to adopt an older cat. Siamese are some of the longer lived cats. So at a 10, which is what we're estimating, I think, for these guys, you know, you could easily have another 10 years. Lovely, lovely fur condition. Very, very soft. Very, very nice cats.